Ladies and gentlemen, this is TVP World. You're watching another edition of Military Mind, bringing you news from the front lines. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee. Overnight into March 27th, Russian forces launched around 100 strike drones at Ukrainian territory. Military officials say the attack damaged numerous civilian infrastructure sites. In the Poltava region, more than 5,000 consumers were left without gas following the strike. Authorities say there were no casualties or injuries. In Kharkiv, a Russian missile hit a multi-story residential building. The city was also hit by a drone, with the mayor reporting 8 people wounded. Officials say the building's internal structure was partially destroyed by the impact. Meanwhile, in Russia, Ukrainian drones again targeted the Leningrad region, striking the ports of Ust-Luga and Primorsk, with authorities reporting large-scale fires at the facilities. Now, this marks the third attack on Russia's Baltic ports since the beginning of the week, following strikes on March 23rd and 25th. Primorsk and Ust-Luga are Russia's largest oil ports on the Baltic Sea. Together, they handle about 40% of the country's oil exports, or roughly 2 million barrels per day. The governor of the Vologda region says 8 drone strikes were recorded targeting an industrial site in Cherepovets. He reports no damage to infrastructure and no casualties. However, Ukrainian monitoring channels, citing local residents, say the target was the largest phosphorus fertilizer plant in Europe. On the front line, Ukrainian counterattacks in the Huliopole sector are forcing Russian command to adjust its plans and redeploy forces from the Donetsk region to southern Ukraine. Analysts say Ukrainian forces have achieved significant tactical gains in the south since late January 2026. According to air assault forces, as of March 26, the settlement of Berezove has been liberated, eliminating a Russian salient in that area. Since late January 2026, Ukrainian forces have recaptured more territory than Russian forces seized in February of 2026. Now, these efforts to halt and reverse Russian advances in southern Ukraine are having a cascading effect across the front. Russian forces are being forced to choose between defending against Ukrainian counterattacks and committing manpower and resources to offensive operations elsewhere. In the Middle East, the Israeli military said on Friday it launched what it called a broad wave of strikes on Tehran, targeting Iranian regime infrastructure. An IDF spokesperson says the strikes focus on sites used to produce weapons, mainly ballistic missiles. The Iranian Red Crescent is conducting search and rescue operations. In Urmia, rescuers were seen searching through damaged buildings. Lebanese media report an Israeli strike hit the southern suburbs of Beirut early on Friday. Several explosions were heard in what is known as a Hezbollah stronghold, followed by raising smoke. Although Israel had issued broad evacuation warnings for the area, no specific warning was given ahead of the strike. We open with footage from a Ukrainian soldier's helmet-mounted camera capturing an intense small arms fire exchange in the village of Stepnogirs in the Zaporizhzhia region. The fighting unfolds at close range, in narrow streets, and among ruined buildings, where every move counts. The situation changes by the second, showing the high level of tension and the speed of decision-making on the battlefield. The United States has launched a series of targeted strikes against sites linked to Iran's military infrastructure. The strikes primarily target logistical hubs, weapon depots, training centers, and other facilities that support the operation of Tehran-backed forces. U.S. military officials say the operations are preventative in nature and aimed at reducing Iran's ability to carry out attacks through its network of proxy forces in the Middle East. A Ukrainian MiG-29 fighter jet carried out a precision strike on a concentration of Russian assault units near the town of Vovchansk in the Kharkiv region. 2 ASM Hammer guided bombs were used to engage the target. A direct hit was recorded at a location where Russian forces had gathered personnel ahead of further assault operations. The use of high-precision air-to-ground weapons allowed the strike to be carried out from a safe distance while minimizing collateral damage. Units of the Ukrainian 39th Separate Marine Brigade, together with the 34th Unmanned Systems Center, continue systematic efforts to degrade Russian infrastructure far behind the front lines, in areas where Moscow's forces often consider themselves untouchable. During the strikes, forces hit an equipment depot, passenger and cargo vehicles, a deployment site used by enemy UAV operations, enemy personnel, and a power distribution node. The Ukrainian Posipaki unit has set a new combat record in countering Russian drones. In just one day, Ukrainian fighters using General Chereshnya interceptor drones destroyed 43 Russian air targets. The interceptions include Malinia and Lancet strike UAVs and Mavic reconnaissance UAVs, which Russian troops actively use for reconnaissance and attacks on Ukrainian positions. And with that footage, we conclude this edition of Military Mind. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.